Hey kids, Phineas T. Walsh here. Welcome to the Fallout Shelter, the brand new children's show just for you. Well, kids, I mean. The rest of you can stay if you behave yourselves. Welcome to part 4 of our little reading from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. If you'll remember, Lewis Carroll was extremely fond of puns, of which there are still a few more to keep track of. One where you'll hear both the pun and the word being punned. Porpoise is the pun, and purpose is the word being punned. And two others where you'll hear only the pun. The first, soles, as in a kind of fish, and soles, as in the bottom of a shoe. The second, eels, as in a kind of fish, and heels, as in the back of a shoe. And once again, I'll subtitle the words being punned when they come up in the story. You ready? All right, here we go. And now for my favorite part. I'll see you in the reading corner. Hey! Welcome back to the reading corner. Shall we continue? The Mock Turtle is just finishing the Lobster Quadrille. Chapter 10. The Lobster Quadrille. Won't you join the dance? Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, said Alice, feeling very glad that it was over at last. And I do so like that curious song about the whiting. Oh, well, as to the whiting, said the Mock Turtle, you've seen them, of course. Well, yes, said Alice. I've often seen them at Din. She checked herself hastily. Oh, I don't know where Din may be, said the Mock Turtle, but if you've seen them so often, of course you know what they're like. Well, I believe so, Alice replied thoughtfully. They have their tails in their mouths, and they're all over crumbs. Well, you're wrong about the crumbs, said the Mock Turtle. Crumbs would wash off in the sea, but they have their tails in their mouths, and the reason is... And here the Mock Turtle yawned and shut his eyes. Tell her the reason and all that, he said to the Griffin. Well, the reason is, the Griffin said, that they would go with the lobster to the dance, so they got thrown out to sea. So they had to fall a long way. So they got their tails fast in their mouths. So they couldn't get them out again. That's all. Thank you, said Alice. It's very interesting. I never knew so much about a whiting before. Well, I could tell you more than that if you'd like, said the Griffin. Do you know why it's called a whiting? I never thought about it, said Alice. Why? It does the boots and the shoes, the Griffin replied very solemnly. Alice was thoroughly puzzled. Does the boots and the shoes, she repeated in a wondering tone. Why, what are your shoes done with? Said the Griffin. I mean, what makes them so shiny? Alice looked down at them and considered a little before she gave her answer. They're done with blacking, I believe. Boots and shoes under the sea, the Griffin said, with a deep tone, are done with whiting. Now you know. And what are they made of? Alice asked in a tone of great curiosity. Soles and eels! Of course, the Griffin replied rather impatiently. Any shrimp would have told you that. Well, if I'd been the whiting, said Alice, whose thoughts were still running around that song, I'd have said to the porpoise, keep back, please. We don't want you with us.
Well, they were obliged to have him with them, the Mock Turtle said. No wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise.
Wouldn't it really? Said Alice in a tone of great surprise.
Of course not, said the Mock Turtle. Why, if a fish came to me and told me that he was going on a journey, I should say, with what purpose?
Don't you mean purpose?
I mean what I say,
the Mock Turtle replied in an offended tone. And the Griffin added, Come, let's hear some of your adventures. I could tell you my adventures, beginning from this morning, said Alice a little timidly, but it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then.
Oh, explain all that, said the Mock Turtle.
No, adventures first, said the Griffin in an impatient tone. Explanations take such a dreadful time. So Alice began telling them her adventures, from the time she first saw the white rabbit. She was a little nervous about it at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouths so very wide. But she gained courage as she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet till she got to the part about her repeating "You are old, Father William" to the caterpillar, and the words all coming different. And then the Mock Turtle drew a long breath and said, Oh, that's very curious. It's all about as curious as can be, said the Griffin.
It all came different,
the Mock Turtle repeated thoughtfully.
I should like to hear her try and repeat something now. Tell her to begin.
He looked at the Griffin as if he thought it had some kind of authority over Alice. Stand up and repeat. 'Tis the voice of the sluggard, said the Griffin. How the creatures order one about and make one repeat lessons, thought Alice. I might just as well be at school at once. However, she got up and began to repeat it, but her head was so full of the lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very queer indeed. And that's all for part 4. Join us next time for the end of the chapter, when the Griffin says, Wow, that's different from what I used to say when I was a child. From the Fallout Shelter, I'm Phineas T. Walsh. Be safe out there.